Greetings, brethren. It is I, the Donkey, and welcome back to Donkey vs. Beer. Today, I love me beer. I love me wife, if I had one. Love me beans on toast. And I love me Newcastle Brown. Today we are having Newcastle Brown Ale from merry old England. And this is one I've actually had before in England from the tap. So I'm very interested to see how this holds up from the bottle, because there is a thing about ales, specifically ones from the British Islands and from Ireland, that they kind of work better when they come from the tap. I don't know exactly the science behind that, but there is something about it that just when they come from the tap, they're so much more enjoyable. I already know this because there are other ales that I have had from the tap, and then I had them from the bottle, and I was like, wow, what a difference. So I'm really interested to see how different this is from how I remember it from the tap. I actually kind of like this from the tap. This was one of my sort of more favorite ones. Let's just see, eh? Also, this is probably a bit colder right now than you're supposed to drink it. I didn't really look that up beforehand, what the ideal drinking temperature for this particular ale is. I don't know, I just went with whatever my fridge did. Oh yeah, it definitely smells like Newcastle Brown, like I remember it. Will it fit? Oh, it fit, but so barely. I really need new half-pint glasses. Oh, what have I done? I have to be so careful now. Okay, I'm gonna go right for it just so I don't have to worry about this too much. Okay, here we go. Okay, nice. Do enjoy it, but I absolutely nowhere near as good as it is from the tap. I mean, there's just a world between this and what I remember. Oh, what a shame. It's just I don't get to go to England that much anymore. I used to drive through England quite a lot on my way to Ireland when I used to make when I used to go on vacation there. I had this little sort of cabin on the west coast of Ireland. Absolutely beautiful, by the way. If you ever have the chance to go to Ireland, do it. It is absolutely gorgeous. What a beautiful country. Stay away from the cities. They're the same as everywhere else, but the countryside in Ireland is just amazing. But on the way, I would obviously drive through England, and driving from Germany to Ireland, that takes a couple of days unless you drive like a maniac. So I would stop at various pubs on the way. And this was always one of my favorites in England because I will say English beer, I have to be careful here. There are a lot of English beers I like, but the way English pubs work is kind of not something I appreciate, because pretty much all of their pubs at this point are chains, and they're usually linked to some kind of brewery. So the choices you get in beer are very limited depending on what pub you go to. Sometimes you'll actually get in an independent pub, and they'll have all kinds, and it'll be really cool. But those are rare and far between. For the most part, you get the chain ones, like Wetherspoons, and then there's a few other chains as well, and I'm not going to even start to guess the names of them because, I just know that there are a lot of, there's also a lot of chains that are chains, but they have their own kinds of names. Anyway, this was always a favorite of mine to get because it just has, so you all know the saying, if there's crap in the mash, it goes in the trash, and there's definitely some crap in this one. it's not ridiculous fruits and chocolates, so I'm but there's still glucose syrup in there, and there's hop extract, which is not the best, but sugar and glucose syrup, stuff like that. It's sort of on the cusp of what is acceptable. I would prefer it not to be there, but I guess it's just part of the tradition. But yeah, anyway, it's not overly sweet. I've had other beers before that had the sugar in them that I just thought were pretty gross because they kind of tasted like a soda or like dessert, and I don't really want that from my beer. With this one, there's just enough to create a really nice sort of background sweetness, but the most is still a really smoky and just well-rounded savoriness. Not too bitter on this one. Yeah, compared to other ales, or to other beers in general, I should say, very, very low on the bitterness. There's a little bit of it, but most of this one is really the maltiness, the slight sweetness. The smokiness isn't too heavy either. And I feel all of those flavors, the sort of smokiness, the savoriness, the slight sweetness, all of that comes through a lot better when it's from the tap. I get a lot more almost sour, sort of acidic notes from this now that it's from the bottle, which is not as pleasant. And those didn't feel as pronounced from the tap. Also, I'm sweating because it is hot today. Yeah. It's such a shame because I really have fond memories of this one. And obviously that there's also going to be some nostalgia in there, some like, I've sat in the car for 10 hours straight. Oh, there's a pub, finally, kind of thing, so I'm sure my memories of this beer are a little bit tainted as well. But I still like it from the bottle as well. It's not horrific. It's not enough of a distortion from the tap taste that I would not drink it. I think it's still perfectly fine. It just has some things going on that I wish weren't, because they're not things I remember. But again, it's still perfectly drinkable. Very, very nice ale. Yeah, nothing too offensive about it. The acidity, I think if I drank it really quickly, that might get quite annoying. But overall, I think it's fine. 4.7%, by the way, which, for an ale, that's pretty average, I would say. Yeah, it's all right. Now with the rating. It's going to be more difficult with this one because, as I said, it is so much better from the tap. But where can you even get this from the tap? Pretty much only in England. Maybe if you find an English pub in some other country. So difficult. I mean, from the tap, I'll just say it, this is a 7.5 for me out of 10. It's great from the tap. It's really, really nice. I've had very, very few other beers in England or Great Britain in general that I would put above this from the tap. But from the bottle, I think I can only give this a 6.5. I think it drops a whole point just because it's in the bottle. And it actually does lose some flavor, which is a shame. It's a shame, but I think I can't give it much more. It's just one of those things where I do not understand the science behind it, but for some reason when this comes from the tap, it's just so much better. So much better indeed. Other examples of this, of beers that are much, much better than when they're from the tap, is of course Kilkenny, is of course Guinness, both Irish, of course, British. There is, what is it called? Something bitter. That was pretty good from the tap, and I hated it when I had it in the bottle. Much, much starker difference between that one. This one is closer, I think. So I don't know. Yeah, but I would still recommend it. If you can find this in the bottle, somewhere in the world, I would still recommend you try it because it's an interesting beer. It's something, if your country doesn't have a strong sort of varied ale tradition, you're probably not going to have something like this. And even if you do, like for example in America, I know pale ales and IPAs and all that sort of stuff is a bit more popular. You might not have had something quite like this because it's quite different. It's a lot more mellow. It's a lot more sort of easy to drink, just a relaxed evening with a beer than you would expect from something more like an IPA, which just punches you in the face. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10 in the bottle. I would still recommend you try it though, because it's definitely an interesting beer, and for a beer that has crap in it, in this case glucose syrup, it's actually still very drinkable. It doesn't really create that sort of soda effect where your mouth becomes really acidic and gross from the sugar. It still very much is a beer, which is good. Whoa, it's storming. Anyway, that's an aside. I don't know if you hear that on the tape, but whew, loud. All right, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and please do come back on another day for another beer. Take care, guys.